low quality fans of a high quality Bruins team and getting higher. That's the offseason motto right there. It's a higher quality Bruins team that we are going to meet in just a couple of months. This is the full Dev Camp report. As you may notice, I'm back home. I don't want to be. I had so much fun at Dev Camp, and I really would prefer to still be in Boston. It is 1 billion degrees in South Carolina right now. Literally, look it up. It's 1 billion. I'm sure I'm right about that. And I have to go to work tomorrow. So all the things that make you not want to go home after a vacation, they're hitting me hard. They're hitting me hard. But that's okay, because I had a blast. And first of all, let me say thank you to everyone who came out to say hi or came out for the development camp and then walked over to say hi. I don't want to assume by any means that I was the reason you were there. You probably just wanted to see some really great hockey, and I just happened to be next to you. But for everyone who said hello and the people I met at the bars after or for lunches, I met a ton of you guys, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. Little special shout out. I know it's mean for me to pick out one to shout out, but Ben, going for varsity this year in the fall. He's a winger. I don't think he told me which side, but he's a winger. He didn't tell me a lot about his game, but I gotta assume he's a Marchand type. Just get the vibe. Probably got some pest to him. I mean, he can go Bardowski. He'll score on you. He'll taunt you after. He'll get in between the ears. Wish him luck, because he's going for it this year. I think he's going to break some records. He promised 50 goals, I swear. I swear he did. I'm not lying about any of this. He promised 50 goals. So I'm pretty excited for Ben. He's going to make varsity. He's going to crush it. So we're going to wish him luck. Before this video, like, comment, subscribe. Nailed it. For this video, we're going to have timestamps below of the specific players that you're looking to talk about. I am not talking about every single person at Dev Camp, because some of them just weren't on a level that made sense to, I mean, they were just in the middle somewhere. The Pelosi's or Schmaltz or Nasons or those Langenbrunner, like, they were fine, but there wasn't a lot to speak about there, really. We're going to pick out a bunch of them. We're going to talk about a bunch of them, but there'll be timestamps below for you to bounce around so that you don't have to, you know, sit through the whole thing if you're not hearing the names that you want to hear. Also, not talking about Patra. He was there for the first couple days. He clearly was taking things a little slower speed. I think that kind of makes a lot of sense. He looked healthy. He said that he's up to speed in the gym for the most part. He was not part of the scrimmage, because why risk your literal NHL player in a scrimmage where half the people on the ice, more than half, have like 30 pounds on the dude? I can't. We had some mammoth human beings out there. The Boston Bruins are going back to the 80s. Because we're going back to big bad Bruins, is basically what I'm trying to say. Let's start with the new draft class of Mammoths? Big guys. We got 4 of them, and they're all huge. We've already been through all that. You can watch the draft recap for the sizes and everything with them. But we're going to start with your first rounder, Dean Letourneau, 6'7", 215 pounds. At 18 years old. I'm not doing that with all of them, but you should still say, this is a big kid. It's a big kid. I know that a lot of you who are on social medias and Twitters and whatnot have seen a video of him absolutely deking Bichel's pants off. Good for him. He has so much promise. I don't know if he gets there, but when I said high risk, high reward after the draft, I meant it. Even more so now. The guy has hands. During the drills, he wasn't the fastest guy. You got to remember also that this is a couple days after he just got drafted. He was in Vegas. I mean, what a whirlwind of a week for him. But he wasn't the fastest guy. But his skating is smooth and sharp. And once he gets going, he's tough to catch and even tougher to stop. He's not an overly physical guy, but he has no problem meeting you in the corner or meeting you in the slot right in front of a goaltender. He needs a lot of improvement when it comes to board battles, where he tries to go over players too much And these smaller, lower center of gravity guys are just ripping the puck away and moving on. He's going to have to use his size to bully players. He is going to have to get more comfortable with that. Now, of course, he's coming out of a prep school where, I mean, he could have done some real damage, and I think maybe there was a little bit of rein that in. He's big. He has hands. He has hockey IQ, particularly in the offensive zone. He's not afraid to post up in front of a goaltender. And although the report on him was not quick enough with his hands to collect those rebounds, to make the quick move in front, bullshit. That's not what I saw at all. He has a great control over what he is trying to do and how to achieve it. He is struggling, or going to struggle, with the next level of speed because he hasn't had to acclimate to it yet. And it was very clear that sometimes the plays that were there he was unable to make because he was a half step behind. Yeah, as an 18-year-old, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like I have to explain these criticisms because sometimes people jump all over you when you criticize a new draftee. These are normal problems to have at that age, even if you're a first rounder. But the one thing, his vision's good, defense is fine, handles are really strong. No, the one thing that separated him from almost everyone at camp, he was the better person in this regard at camp as a whole. His shot. There might be three other guys that were as consistent and accurate as he was. His shot not only is tricky to track, it's just weird. It comes off the stick. You don't even see it happening. It's bizarre watching him. But it's so unbelievably accurate. It is filthy. It's quick. The release isn't quick. You see him load up, and then poof, it's just gone. So maybe that is sort of the release. It's just like the expectation is there. You're watching him shoot. You notice he's shooting. And then it's just the weirdest, most accurate, insane climb to a shot. He's in tight. Doof, roofed it. He's, 20 feet back, and it's accurate. It's going where he wants it. And it's not just top corners. He's looking low glove. He's getting a spot right underneath the blocker. There's a lot to love about the way this kid finds the back of the net. He's a good first-round pick, in my opinion. Obviously, I watched him for 4 days, and then, of course, all the highlights and things leading up to the draft. But there's a lot of promise here. Is he a sure thing? Absolutely not. This was a really exciting camp for him, and he performed really, really well. Our next pick in this draft, Grunwald. He was the one we traded up to get at 110 overall. The reason Lauko is no longer with us. There's something there. He's another big kid. Not huge, but 6'2", 200 pounds. Big guy. There's definitely something here. His skating, his IQ, 200-foot game, responsible across the entire stretch. Smooth. All of it. All of it smooth. You could tell he was nervous to start. He really settled in as the days continued. You could definitely tell he's been nervous to start the camp. But once you got to the one-on-ones, the 3-on-3s, and the scrimmage, you saw some weaknesses. Players were able to get inside him. He wasn't ready for that kind of speed, something we're going to mention with most of these rookies. You saw him once in a while give up on a play that you would like to see him pursue. You saw him once in a while with a drill, maybe not finish it the way you want. I'm big on this. I like to see a guy finish the drill 100%. One of the criticisms of Grunwald was, hey, does he have that next step to his motor? I don't know if I saw that. But what I did see is excellent skating, really strong vision, and just an overall sense of what was going on around him. He got to shine a couple times during the scrimmages. He also got beat a couple times. You're looking at your ceilings and your floors throughout the whole camp. And he had some really brights, and he had some lows. A genuine lack of focus the first 48 hours, I would say. But again, kind of goes along with the whirlwind of the week. Nerves and all that. I like what I saw from him, particularly the skating. If you're going to get a guy in the third round, and trade up to get him, fourth round, and trade up to get him, you have to be betting on something. And you are betting on this kid's skating, and his stick work is really solid. So again, it's another pick that you go, this is a good first camp for you. Clearly, there's a couple years that you need to work on other things. That's also the schedule the Bruins are on, by the way. There's not a lot of guys are getting dislodged from our 6 defensemen anytime soon. So, a couple years away, that's totally fine. A good camp for Grunwald. I wouldn't say great or spectacular, a good one, where I feel like Letourneau had a pretty great camp. But none of our rookies had a better camp than Morello. And I know I was a little bullish in my last video on Morello, but I said during it, hey, we're probably going to see him, or I think I said this, probably going to see him struggle a little bit once we get to the scrimmages. Never looked out of place. He never looked out of place. He did struggle at moments in the scrimmage, much like any of the guys who had a tough moment here or there. But particularly once he settled in on those scrimmages, it was the first couple of shifts where you're like, okay, all right, no, not. Same thing with the drills, by the way. First time he'd do a drill, second time, the one-on-ones, first time he'd lose it. Second time, not the same mistake again. Doesn't do it. He doesn't make the same mistake twice. Once he settled in during the scrimmages, something that really, really shone was his vision and his edge work. Once you got him in tight, and again, this is another big kid. He doesn't have the weight yet, but he has the height, 6'2". Once you got him into a corner or a tight space, it just shiftiness. He would get you off balance. He would skitter away. If you managed to pin him, he wasn't afraid of it. And yeah, he didn't win every single battle. But you'd get him against the boards. He'd fight, either strip it away in a quick move to a guy that you didn't even see was open. Or sometimes he got bullied a little bit. Cheveldayoff was really trying to bring it to him. I think he didn't like how the one-on-ones went on day 3. I cannot say enough positive things about what I saw from Morello. He lost a couple battles to more physically adept men. 21-year-olds. He's 17. Most of these guys had 20, maybe 30 pounds on them. And he brought it to them. The whole conversation about his motor, I didn't see that at all. The whole camp. He finished every drill. He listened to every coach. He was locked in from start to finish. And more often than not, he beat the goaltender. When he took a shot, when he felt good about it, and he didn't shy away from it, he was hitting the back of the net. He has a nice shot. Quality chances, too. He was creating, I mean, his defense was probably the biggest thing. I'd be like, okay, not great. Definitely needs work. Other than that, though, you've got a lot of stuff there that you go, 5th rounder? He was bringing it, and he showed a lot of flashes of just pure hockey IQ. There's a lot to like about him. Edge work and his vision in particular. Really, really nice. Again, you're betting on skating and you're betting on hockey IQ. Those are 2 things I can really get behind. The last pick of the draft for us was Loke Johansson. He was very consistent. I was actually pretty impressed. Very consistent across the board in his drills. The scrimmages is where he started falling behind a little bit more. He got beat a few times. He's a 6th-round pick. But I was pretty surprised where he didn't look out of place on too many drills. Made some mistakes here or there. Particularly, there was one skating drill where he was having trouble cutting the corners as sharply as he would have liked. He kept taking things really wide. But at the end of the day, for a 6th-round pick, showed up, looked solid, stayed consistent throughout, listened, locked in. I think there's some positives there. Obviously, years and years away from the next level, but certainly not a bad camp for him. Certainly not. All right, I took way too long with the rookies, so we're going to talk about the good, the meh, and the bad. All right? The good is how I like to start. And the most impressive defenseman at this development camp, I'm going to give you a second. You can say it out loud if you think you know who. No. It was Jackson Edward. Unless you said that, then yes, good job by you. I thought it would be Brunet too. I really did. Brunet, who I'm actually just skipping to real quick, skating was super impressive. His blue line play, offensively, really good. Other than that, was he a level above the players around him for the most part? Yeah, I would say so, by a degree. But he didn't overly impress. He played defense well. which is kind of a knock of his because he's a more offensive defenseman, but he was in front of people. He had this active stick. He controlled the flow of play well during the scrimmages, but there wasn't something that really stood out to me all that much about Brunet's play. He kind of, I don't want to say he wasn't being physical, because he didn't shy away from it, but he kind of picked his spots, if you will, right? Like a veteran basketball player who's deciding when to exert energy. Brunet kind of felt like that throughout. Not a knock, but he wasn't overly impressive. And then there's Jackson Edward, who, particularly in the offensive zone, where the conversation has not been based for him, has been great. He couldn't have had a better camp, in my opinion. Was he flawless? Absolutely not. But the skating was there. Not as good as Brunet, but especially the reverse skating, Brunet blew everyone out of the water. But Edward was fine. But skating was solid. Scrimmages, physical. Nasty, but kept it under wraps, I think, to a degree. He's like, all right, I can't kill these guys. Physical, though. Aggressive defender. He certainly didn't shy away from jumping into the offensive zone pressures. Jumping down into the slot, has turned into a bit of a net front presence at times. As soon as he's able to, he had no problem getting in front of the goaltender and trying to go for that tip. I would say, oddly enough, offensively, he was more impressive than defensively. The biggest issue I saw with him, the only part that I can be like, this was bad, the transition defense, boy, did he commit. He decided on something, he committed, and it burned him multiple times. Obviously, transition defense, huge part of the next level. So gonna have to figure that out. But when I tell you he was the most talked to prospect by our coaching staff, I mean, I cannot emphasize that enough. Someone was in his ear constantly. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a, they like this kid. They think he has something for the next level. They're trying to make sure he has everything he needs. And even when he did something well, there's a coach in his ear. And I believe that more often than not, they were coming over to me like, attaboy, here we go. Right? Fantastic camp. The transition defense was the one, real sore spot. Other than that, though, he impressed across the board. And he wins a lot of battles. Because I think he's really mean in the corner. I do not want to be in a corner with Jackson Edward. Either way, if there was one guy I could pick out that had the most... or the biggest leap, I should say, in camp, that's Edward. From last year to this year, yeah, big time. Another really good one, Riley Duran. Felt like he couldn't do anything wrong, honestly. His motor is what you talk about the most. He is a constant pest. He's in the mix. He's adding more nasty to his game. He fears no man, and frequently was the much smaller guy in battles, didn't lose too many of them. He is going to be a fourth line grinder that you love to cheer for. One thing that I really didn't expect, and I don't expect to translate to the next level, the guy couldn't miss the net. He beat the goaltender every time. Not literally, but it felt like every time. If he took a shot or was in on net, it was in the back of the net. It was incredible to watch, honestly. And you listen to the crowd around you and the other guys kind of analyzing. We're not in the seats typically. We're kind of above and watching over the whole ice. And you just hear someone go, Duran again. Oh, there's Duran. He made a great statement this camp. And to the point, do I think it happens? No. But going into training camp, he's going to really make some coaches' decisions difficult. We have a lot of bottom six guys. If he firmly implants himself into that conversation the way it looks like he's doing right now, conversations just get tougher and tougher. You love to see it for him because I don't think there's a single player in this organization who works as hard as Riley Duran. And it showed. What an awesome camp for him. And now we're going to get to one of my personal favorites. I've been talking about him a bunch over the last few months. Jelvik. He is at BC next year with Letourneau and Gassot. He has added some real nasty to his game. He has an attitude. Maybe I just didn't recognize it as much earlier, but it's getting more and more intense, which I'm not mad about. He's a smaller guy. He doesn't shy away from contact, though, or net front battles. He's a strong finisher, always focused on getting the puck to the net. He's got this third line trigger man figured out because he knows puck to the net. He knows how to get to the puck to the net. He knows how to forecheck, how to be a pest, how to make a guy look over his shoulder. There is so much about Jelvik's game where you watch him and go, oh, he's probably not. Oh, yeah, he came away with that one. Okay, nice. All right, nice. Oh, yeah, there he goes again. Is he going to? Oh, he just went right through him. There's just so many moments where you can't help but kind of, oh, I didn't expect him to be able to. Yeah, there he did. He got it. His handles are getting better, and his offensive instincts, strong. He just gets it. He's a guy that just gets it. I feel like he works his ass off. And I know we've talked, or I feel like we've talked about Jelvik before about whether he was going to bring that intensity all the time. He really brought it. His consistency in just being part of the play over and over, and defensively, although he wasn't shining in that area, he was putting everything he had into it against bigger bodies. Kind of a refuse to lose the camp for him. And he had plenty of moments where people were saying his name and should have been. He did lose some battles where you really felt like he had the advantage in them. He would get there first, and there were a few moments where, all right, you tried to get a little too clever there or something along those lines. And he did struggle with the bigger bodies a little bit, and that's when I started seeing more of the nasty. He's not afraid of those bigger bodies, and he beat them a few times. But there's a few times he would get knocked down, and whoosh, the slash comes out of nowhere right to the shin. Yeah, he'd get called for that a few times if it weren't a development camp. So, as much as I liked the attitude and his aggression, and he won some battles, there's still some work to be done, especially in open ice, getting knocked over by some of these bigger guys. But he just keeps getting up and keeps pushing. I think this is another good camp for him. I think this is his last year at BC. And I'm surprised by how many people have actually asked me about him. I think a lot more people are looking into him than I realized. So, that's always nice to see. I'm going to name two more in the good section. There's a lot of good. Maybe I'm just optimistic. 21 years old, 6'4" left wing. Gleb Veremayev. He was an invite. He was the best of the invites by far. No NHL team has his rights as far as I can tell. He wasn't like a flawless dude by any means. His offensive instincts, skating, shot, ability to get his body between a defender and the puck to protect it, really, really good. Really good. Kind of guy you keep an eye on. He's in college right now, I believe. So, just one of those guys that the organization's like, all right, that's not a bad camp. Defensively, kind of a bad camp. But offensively, not a bad camp. You don't expect a lot from these guys who are just invites, who haven't been drafted. But as far as that goes, I think he really stood out amongst those kind of players. And the last good player in the camp, and it's a little rude to say, but the one I would list as having a good camp, was Jonathan Mierenberg, who has spent another year overseas in Sweden, but he's one of those jack-of-all-trades defenders. And he plays against men out there, so it's nice that he's playing on a really good level against guys who have a physical advantage against him. And I would say that as far as consistency goes, no one in the camp was as consistent as Mierenberg. Constantly at a good level. Did he excel anywhere? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say he was ever the best in a drill, in a scrimmage, in a one-on-one. Well, I guess in a one-on-one he won a couple of those. But I wouldn't say he was a superstar by any right. But that kind of consistency across the entire game, in a positive way, and you're building on that, it was a good camp. It was a really good camp for Mierenberg. And I know there's a few guys around the team that really have their eye on him. They think that he can continue to develop in a very positive way and becomes a third or second pair guy that this team can count on in tough minutes. Those guys are worth a lot in the league. When you can put them out there and go, I know exactly what I'm getting, and I know I'm getting it the entire shift. The meh. Don't read this as the bad. The bad's coming next. The meh is just didn't do enough to impress, but certainly didn't struggle enough to warrant any concern. And we're going to start with my favorite prospect. That's right, Lot Mells. He's about to start his second year at UMass. His skating and physicality is still holding him back. His physical attributes, and I mentioned this in the last video, are his weakest attributes. He is not an elite talent physically. An NHL talent physically. It's just not what he is. He wasn't when we drafted him. I have never changed my opinion on that. I've been very honest about that from the beginning. During the drills, during even the one-on-ones, it's not where he shines. That's not where he's at his best. It's not where you're going to sit there and go, he's ready for the next level. His skating isn't bad. It's just not strong enough yet. Physicality, it's not there yet. Is he winning enough board battles? Not with his body, he isn't. And is he able to protect the puck? Not with his body, he isn't. That being said, the scrimmages start on day 4. And I'm nervous, right? I love this prospect. I'm so excited about what he does someday. I want this so badly for him and for me. Sometimes you just get tied to one. We're fans. What are you going to do? You just pick a favorite sometimes. So I'm nervous. The scrimmage starts, and I'm worried that he's going to have a bad scrimmage, and my faith is going to waver a little bit. Is that fair during development camp? No, absolutely not. But we're human. Scrimmage starts. And he immediately turns the puck over. And I'm like, no, please don't do this to me. Gets the puck back. Finds a pass that no one saw in the building. Just no one. He's pinned to the top corner of the offensive zone and whips it around tape to tape, giving an open chance to, I believe, Jelvik, but don't quote me on that one. Just a fantastic play. And everyone goes, ooh, who was that? And I'm sitting there, that was Mells. I know who that was. The rest of the scrimmage, and then the 3-on-3s that followed, he used his vision, his consistent puck carrying ability. Again, physically, he's not great at protecting. But if you're struggling to catch him properly or to pin him in, he's shifty enough where he's going to get away from you. And he can carry this and finds ways to make you miss over and over and over again until he finds something he likes. And you might watch and go, all right, this is a little bit too much hero ball. He's holding this puck for a while. Well, there's nothing there. And guess what? No one can take the puck from him. So what does he care? He'll wait till there's a play to be made. And every time, he would find a play to be made and make it. The guy's instincts and vision are insane. They're nuts. His team play, his understanding of structure, puck possession, the entire time he was quarterbacking his unit. Every time. And you could see the other players playing off of him. They know who has the puck. They know where they want to go, and they know that he's going to find them. I cannot be more excited about how day 4 went for him. I thought he was great. The first 3 days, nothing to write home about. But this is a guy whose play on the ice is what matters. I know that sounds ridiculous, but not too often do you have prospects who don't excel physically, but are still able to be that guy on the ice in a team setting. I see so much of Krejci in him. I can't emphasize it enough. I keep saying things like that, but I can't. He's a little Krejci. That's what I'm saying. Love day 4 for him. The reason he's in the meh is because he had 3 days of being like, is he all right? He wasn't bad, but it was like, all right, he's just in the grouping. Also, his shot isn't anything to really write home about, but I thought it's improved. I do think it's improved. But yeah, just an okay camp, but day 4, he had a really good one. Cheveldayoff is another meh. He's another guy who does not have his rights owned by any team right now. Physical, aggressive, intense, does whatever he needs to do to make sure he comes out on top. Does not consistently come out on top, but the motor and the aggression is there, and he has really nice off-puck movement to help create these scoring opportunities. I wouldn't say he shines anywhere in particular, but he's aggressive, and he had some nice moments throughout the camp. Also, the last one, Cole Spicer, our little flunky. He failed out of school. He's working his way back, though. It's going to be fine. Really didn't stand out until the last day, where over and over and over and over and over again, he beat guys in tight and finished his chances. It was weird. It was very, I mean, I know I just said all this about Lot Mells, but he just didn't look impressive throughout most of this camp, in my opinion. And then you put him in a team setting and had kind of a prick attitude, wasn't beating guys really physically or with speed, but was just finding his way around them and burying his chances. I don't know what gets him to the next level. It certainly isn't going to be his physical traits, but he seems like another high IQ guy, has decent vision, willing to do what it takes to make the play. I'm really not sure with him. It's hard for me to see him at an NHL ceiling, but he had a really, really solid 200-foot presence on the last day. The first few days, nothing really to highlight, I would say. Decent shot, though. And now the bad. The bad includes a couple of guys that you're probably going to ask about. The first one being Harrison, who is still allergic to contact. That was a conversation through the whole camp, honestly. He doesn't drive the line, doesn't get on the boards often enough. He is an unbelievable shot. He sits in the top of the slot or over the circles and waits. And when the puck gets to him, he finishes a chance. It's in the back of the net. None of the goaltenders were all that... I'm not even mentioning a goaltender in this video. None of the goaltenders were all that impressive to me. But boy, Harrison can shoot. I mean, I would watch a shooting competition between Harrison and Pastrnak right now, and I do not know who would win. That might be a little bit of a bluster, but damn, man. Harrison can shoot. He also had 5 goals in 40-something games last year in Providence. He doesn't work hard enough. He doesn't get into the areas he needs to get into. He's not fast enough. He's not involved in transition unless he's the guy in the back waiting for a drop pass. There's too much there that you go, wow, you have such great offensive instincts and an amazing shot. Where's the rest of your game? Specifically effort. And I really went into this camp going, open mind. Maybe he's going to hit this next level. Maybe he's understanding this. Just never really saw it, personally. Had a good moment here or there, and again, couldn't stop hitting the back of the net. You need more than that, though, because at the next level, if you're not in that position to take that shot and earned your way to that position, it's not going to do anything for you. So that was not a good camp for Harrison. Gasol, this is because of expectations. I don't think he was bad, and he was intense. He had that intensity. The motor was going. He just didn't stand out at all, like at all. I hope his season is good at BC. I hope he gets a chance to work with Letourneau and Jelvik on a line. That'd be really funny. An all Bruins line for him, but I just don't. And I think people disagree with me on this one. There's other people who went to the camp I think disagree, but I didn't see anything from him that I got all that excited about. Sorry. I know a lot of people have asked about him. Another guy that a lot of people have asked about, Gallagher. Same exact thing. Didn't stand out. Didn't consistently win any defensive battles. Didn't do enough with the puck on his stick. He didn't have great blue line play. The only thing I can say is, again, the motor was going. Didn't shy away from contact. And had some nice moments where he rushed up and joined in front of the net and battled in the offensive zone or defensive zone in front of the net. There was some nice moments there. But outside of that, really just didn't do enough to draw the eye. And again, his path isn't over, but it's hard to see that next level for him, in my opinion. Other bad ones. Ryan Mast. He signed an ELC a couple of years ago, which we all thought was way too early. We were confused by that because there's just so much he still has to work on. His skating is holding him back so badly. He just can't keep up. And he can't create. He's struggling to defend because he falls behind players that they're too easy to shift away from. And he could have gotten called for holding like 6 different times during the scrimmage, but they weren't really calling anything like that. just not, the skating's not there. And without the skating being at least a moderate level, you just can't hit the next step. So really disappointed. I was hoping for kind of a jump from him. And then Kostadinsky, the 7th rounder from a couple of years ago, or a year ago, whatever it is, the one who last camp had to be taken aside and shown how to skate and how to stop, his skating has really improved. Is it great? No. No. I wouldn't even say it's good. But it has taken a huge jump. His shot, his slap shot is Charles Barkley golfing-esque. It's extremely awkward and uncomfortable. But once he's settled in a little bit, and once you could see that the wheels weren't turning as much and he was just playing the game, the dude's massive. He was driving guys into the boards, getting the puck out quickly. He's not a guy who's going to make the first pass to get the puck up ice, but he's going to clear the zone. I really enjoyed the fact that he was focusing on what was making him successful. Beat the shit out of the guy, take the puck, get it the hell out of Dodge. I'm going to compliment the guy for that. The reason he's in the bad, there is nowhere near enough traits to imagine an NHL future for this guy. I love to root for him, though, and I'll believe until he's no longer in the system. He was a 6-year project when we drafted him, so let's just see how that continues to go. I just know I'm going to get some questions on him. Still huge, still improving, long road to go. And guys, that's it. That's all I want to mention for this video. If there is somebody that you would like an opinion on in the comments, I'm more than happy to answer those. But these are the ones that stuck out in one way or another. And of course, these are just my opinions. I think it would be really fun as a fan. Of course, I'm going to do a little bit of this myself. Do a little bit of myself. Do this a little bit as well. A lot of people went to this camp. A lot of people are going to be covering it. A lot of articles and podcasts will have different information out there of their opinions. So I'm really curious to see how many of them have different takes about this, because we're all not professional scouts, right? We're fans of the game. We watch it a lot. We make our criticisms. We keep moving. But I'm really curious to see what other people might have these takes and that differ from mine. So should be interesting. Let me know below if there's anyone else you want to chat about. But for now, I would say, go Bees. Go Bees! And of course, we have to say a big old thank you to the high quality inspectors who happen to all be 10 out of 10s. Not sure if you guys knew that. We've got our top line tier inspectors: GD Viperworks, Tiffany Hagel, Chris and Erica, Len Cruz, Moonlighter TV, The Bugman, Brock Nope, Han Slomo, Coach D, The Atomic Lizard, Bradley Johnson, Aaron Adams, Just Aaron, Darren Woodbury, Brett Arney, Pinsent, and Nick Zatrullo. Absolute studs. 10 out of 10. I'm not kidding. Every single one of them. And, of course, there's the highest of high-quality inspectors. The all-star tier. 12 out of 10s. Can you believe it? So hot. We've got the Mad Marcus, Adrian Winter, Tyler McCourt, Tupton D. Tashi, John Kirk, Jacob Pratt, Heil E. Coyote, Michael DePaulo, Wolf Warrior, Vinny, Adam Ella, Bruin Smash, Joel, Abraxion, D.A. Kingery, The Only Newts, A Tasty Snack, Doots42, and Jeremy. You guys are stallions. You're all legends, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you and your help with keeping this channel going. Thank you, and go Bees.